Good afternoon, my friends. This is the Grim Flayer, and I hope you're doing very well today. Welcome to another Modern Donation League, this one with Orzhov Poxblade, a black-white Smallpox mid-range deck, and this one is a spicy meatball. We're going to talk all about it, but first a quick housekeeping note. You're about to see a bit of a Frankenstein League. Unfortunately, I had another issue, but it doesn't affect the content too much, but with round 3, we will have to do a replay. I'm going to take you through the point where I started lagging into oblivion with the live recording, and then we'll finish up that round after I got back on track but was no longer recording with replay. But the other 4 rounds, full live recorded just for you. So, unfortunately, this issue's been persistent, but I'll talk more in detail about that in the wrap-up, and also, just so you know, these issues hopefully will soon be a thing of the past. I have ordered a new computer. It is in, the order has been made. Hopefully it will be to us within a couple weeks, and then these issues will no longer plague me. But enough about that. Speaking of the plague, what on earth are we doing playing Smallpox in 2021 in a mid-range deck, right? Not even in an all-in shell. Well, this is actually really cleverly designed by Rocco, but I do have to say, the Discord denizens and we also did a bit of surgery on it, probably 7 or so changes overall, but the core principles and the core components of Rocco's deck remain completely untouched. We did a lot of curve lowering and a lot of edge altering, right, in order to bring the supporting cast into a more broad meta place to be, well positioned against the broad meta as we saw it. So let's get into it, and we're going to begin by looking at the land base. 24 lands, okay. A lot of typical utility pieces: Castle Locthwain, Shambling Vent, 3 Silent Clearing. Okay, we've got a lot of utility, a lot of flood insurance, 4 Marsh Flats, 3 Godless Shrine, 2 each of Plains and Swamps, some beautiful Dark and Stormy Tempest printings, and all that is all well and good, but we've got some unusual choices here. 3 Urborg, really? That's a lot. But 1 Urborg and 1 Fetid Heath would be totally fine in a normal dead Guile list. They're both really good mana fixers. Heath can filter you into either color, and we do have some extreme color demands, and Urborg can filter you into black, but also can make clearings halfway painless, can make Plains produce black, can make fetch lands tap for mana, etc., etc. But these cards really start to make even more sense when you look at Flagstones of Trokair. This is just so delightful, the power of this card in this shell. Legendary land, it's a 4 of. It's basically a Plains without the type, because it makes white and it ETBs untapped, but when it's put into a graveyard from the battlefield, you may tutor a Plains onto the battlefield tapped, so that's your basic Plains, or a Godless Shrine, and the whole thing here is, yeah, you could play a Flagstones out of hand, and bin your other one, and not lose any tempo that turn, and you're kind of thinning your deck and filling your graveyard, and that's fine, but the real wombo combo is turn 2 Smallpox, plus Flagstones off of Fetid Heath or Urborg, making double black, and then you're Smallpoxing out the opponent, but you are not going down a land. So it's a massive depletion, a massive 3-for-3 resource trade, or maybe more likely 3-for-2 if they have a creature and you don't, and that's when it's a real blowout. But even if it's just like a 2-for-2 or a 3-for-3, however you want to look at it, the tempo you gain is insane, because your opponent going down a land, you're kind of time walking them early game, and if you don't have to go down a land, then you just a wombo comboed. That's the idea here, and of course you'll still be Smallpoxing a good amount of the time without Flagstones, but if you have it, then you are in for a treat. So that is why the unusual choices in the land base are there. I think they make a lot of sense, and credit to Rocco for that. Moving on to the spells, we have 4 Push, 4 Inquisition, 2 Thoughtseize, all typical black-based interactive selections, and a Cling to Dust. This is an example of the curve lowering and the type of strategy that I want to employ here. By moving this main deck, it was previously sideboarded, we acknowledge that we do need to curve out, we do need those cantrip effects if we can justify them, and we do need some main deck, graveyard hate, frankly, to clean up after all of our depletion, all of our Smallpoxing and Fatal Pushing and Liliana activations and so on and so forth. And Cling also has X for 1 potential, which we really cannot have enough of in this deck. So this is a perfect example of the type of shift in the supporting cast that I mentioned. We'll talk about some of these cards in different orders, but Lingering Souls, does not get any more synergistic than this. We've got 4 Liliana of the Veil and 4 Smallpox. Lingering Souls, very well acquainted with both. You, of course, can bin this to these discard effects, making them virtually asymmetrical. Lingering Souls also carrying weaponry very, very well. This card is a core engine of the deck. 4 for 1 potential, technically. Even though they're weenies, they're still awesome. As we say, 4 Liliana of the Veil helping along that plan, and a Kaya Orzhov Usurper. I think this card is good. I think she's well-rounded, powerful, unique effects, and again, rewarding us for that aggressive depletion. She is going to clean up the graveyard after we've already filled it up, and she's got the ability to -1 very often in the meta right now. Elspeth Sun's Nemesis is the final Planeswalker in the main deck, and my goodness, is she synergistic. Very spicy tech here from Morocco, and she's a very powerful value 4-drop walker, right? She can go wide, she can be a finisher, she can even just gain you 5 life upon resolution. That's actually awesome, but crucially, she escapes. So if we have to aggressively Smallpox and Liliana early on, and this was a Gideon ally of Zendikar, well, he's just gone. He's just dust in the wind. But Elspeth, on the other hand, she's coming back in the late game, and that is why she is such a good fit. Beyond that, though, we have other things that might not be as directly synergistic with Smallpox, but have very high card quality, and we do need that. It can't all just be dirtily hyper-synergistic stuff. We've got to have some really high card quality, too. Kaya's Guile's going to be part of that. Very flexible utility knife, basically, in the shell. Got 2 for 1 or 4 for 1 in the late game potential. Skyclave Apparition, card quality is insane. Just critical massive answers, and it's kind of an answer on legs, so it can pick up a weapon. Stoneforge Mystic is our real finisher most of the time. Obviously, she's a 2 for 1. She tutors the most hateful and impactful piece of equipment, and that hopefully will snowball the game. And speaking of the equipment, it's just the usuals. The 3 most powerful: Batterskull, Feast and Famine, Fire and Ice. Can't really go wrong. No need to deviate, in my view, from the accepted norm. In the sideboard, you're seeing a lot of familiar faces. 3 Brutality, 3 Fulminator, 2 Plagueman, 2 Ashiok Dreamrender promo style, and 2 Nihil Spellbomb. I shouldn't need to elaborate on any of these if you've seen any of my videos before, but I will say that just remember we're a Smallpox deck, so not only are we having 7 really hard LD effects alongside Fulminator post-side when we want that, we also have the ability to expect Ashiok will be a lot more relevant as fetch hate. If we've got turn 2 land destruction, we're just slowing them down that much more, making each further land drop that much more crucial for the opponent. If they're dependent on fetch lands, Ashiok as fetch hate, and therefore as land hate, is more reasonable here in that role than it would be in a non-Smallpox shell, right? Rounding out the 15 are some cards that I was very eager to replace the 2 disenchants that Rocco initially had with. I think he initially had the Celestial Purge, and let's start there. There's a lot of Rakdos, and there's BGX in the meta, and there's red decks in the meta. Celestial Purge is going to hit all of those, and many of those decks, if not all of them, have recursive properties. So the fact that you're exiling things rather than destroying them, very, very good for the most part. It's not like we're trying to grow a Tarmogoyf, right? Ditto Revoke Existence, way better than Disenchant, because we are exiling Klothys, we are exiling Heliod, we are exiling Wormcoil Engine. Disenchant either bricks or is suboptimal against those types of cards, whereas this is going to take care of them on a clean 1-for-1 basis. Speaking of Heliod, Deicide is the anti-Heliod tech. It can still hit Klothys, and against Gruul, that'd be great, actually. It can still come in whenever else you need to hit an enchantment 1-for-1, but really, this is going to try to completely cripple a Heliod deck if we are unlucky enough to run into one. So there is our tour of Orzhov Poxblade. Shout out once again to Rocco, as well as to all Patreon supporters, including the ones who helped tweak Rocco's list. With that said, let's have some fun and let's pox them out. See how far we can get off of Smallpox, Flagstones of Trokair, and all the rest. Alright, we're on the play with a mono black hand. Urborg, Castle Locthwain. We've got 2 Fatal Pushes, though. I think if Fatal Push lines up, this is a keep. Oh, man. If it doesn't, we're in big, big trouble. Big trouble in multiple different ways. I guess we're mulling, but Ooh, it is borderline. We have Smallpox and Lingering Souls on the Mull to 6, so I'm going to keep this, but I am not especially optimistic about it, I think. Well, if the opponent mulls, then maybe. Sure, okay, keep. We'll bottom one of the clearings, I guess. I'm going to keep this Marsh Flats in case we really need a basic more than anything else. Alright, so we have neither Flagstones nor Urborg in hand. So we're just going to go ahead and run out of Godless Shrine, I suppose. We are against Sven Sviter Sven, who is somebody I've definitely played before, don't especially know anything about them, but okay, so do we just Smallpox on curve against Wooded Foothills Pass? I don't think so. I think we need to try to find a way to kill a creature with a Smallpox. But I have no idea what they're doing. So we'll just hold up Fatal Push. The obvious temptation, of course. Get ahead on the play, we can pitch Lingering Souls, but if we had a hand more full of gas, that would be more tempting. I might need the front half of Lingering Souls to get over the line here, right? So that's what I'm thinking. Let's hold up push. You know, even if they play a creature out, we'll just play a 2-drop and pass. It might be better to simply push, untap, play the souls, and then try to find a good Smallpox window a bit later in the game. But OP maybe double queuing, maybe in the tank, maybe had to get up and take a phone call. Who knows? Who knows? Not I. Opponent says, sorry, back. No worries. No worries at all. Foothills grabs a Steam Vents. I don't know if our things are going to line up in quite the way we hope. Lightning Bolt into light up the stage, huh? Is that what's going to happen? Alright. Okay, so Izzet Prowess with a slow start, but a value positive one. We've got Kaya. Kaya's definitely nice. I think we should try to protect her, though, with Lingering Souls. And Fatal Push next turn. Okay, there's the dragon. They do have another land. Here's the attack. I think I'm going to call the bluff. You know, they're pointing something at a spirit token this way. Pointing a burn spell at a spirit token, I mean, that's pretty good unless it's Lava Dart, in which case it's still not the worst. And, of course, it is Lava Dart. That's unfortunate. However, that opens up some interesting lines indeed for us. Yeah, I think we're going to get the Kaya down here. Get rid of that Lava Dart, too. Gain some life. Smallpox was definitely live there, though, you know? But this way we get to exile the Lava Dart. And gain some life back off of the Sprite Dragon. Now, we just have to hope they don't have another haste threat If they do, we would have been better off playing conservatively with Kaya yet again, and like smallpoxing away the dragon and also holding up Fatal Push. Opponent says his Obliterator time. Oh, Lamau is censored. I always forget that. That's funny, though. Obliterator would be very difficult for these decks to beat. Phyrexian Obliterator is basically a meme card at this stage in Modern. However, very good against red deck wins. If you have enough interaction to get to that stage of the game, of course. We're punished, of course, because OP has found not only a haste threat, but the haste threat, right? Sprite Dragon. But they're attacking us, leaving Kaya be. Following up with a light up. Well, that makes sense. Oh my goodness, the gas out of this deck is sometimes just unbearable. Lava Dart, Lightning Bolt, but we do have Smallpox to beat the dragon. We are flooding. So, I guess we're supposed to Smallpox, Flashback Lingering Souls rather than try to play for a higher upside, crack a Silent Clearing. Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's what we'll do. Alrighty, so Kaya putting in so much work for us, we'd be just kind of getting crushed without her, I think. That said, I'm still definitely feeling on the ropes. We do need some gas to continue coming. We need to fade certain things from OP. They can outright kill Kaya with just Bolt, Dart, Flashback, Dart, and we have, I guess, successfully forced them into that, which is pretty good. We just now need to kind of punish them for that. Oh no, they just have Storming Entity as their last card. Well, yeah, they've got a really good balance against us, and their high land count has actually rewarded them significantly against our version, whereas like if we were on Rock, maybe, or Jund, we would have had a little higher threat quality, maybe a higher density of answers too, and we would be kind of punishing the flood a bit. Yeah, opponent just throwing all their spells at Kaya makes sense, which would have been a great outcome if they didn't have a Storming Entity when it was all said and done, but we draw Smallpox. Let's go. That's pretty hype. Pretty hype, guys, not gonna lie. Pretty hype. It's not perfectly symmetrical in any way, but we will definitely take it. I'm just going to crack Silent Clearing now in case it's a land drop, I guess. It's a Kaya's Guile. Alright. That's a good one, too. OP playing off the top and they rip Swifty. That's a very good one. But let's just draw an untapped land. No, but we draw Stoneforge Mystic. That's good. Alright, because Kaya's Guile is a really good card if we draw the third land to naturally cast it, I think I'm going to get Batterskull here and basically force the OP to find a kill spell for Stoneforge Mystic. I'm also going to continue racing with the Spirit because I'm not going to chump block just yet. Wow, they rip Lightning Bolt. I mean, both players drawn pretty well. Let's continue that trend with an untapped land here, please. We do. Very, very nice. Okay. So I'm just going to main phase this. And are we supposed to gain 4 or make another spirit? We could exile their graveyard too. I don't believe that to be correct against specifically Izzet, although Bedlam Reveler is probably in here. I think I'm going to just gain 4. I know that's not like what the matchup is completely about, but I think with Batterskull coming down and with opponent, again, repeatedly just in a position where they're playing off the top, I think I like just gaining 4. Well, we draw another SFM. We will take that, my friends. This spirit just getting in for quite a lot of damage, you have to say. Oh man, I never tap Heath correctly. Maybe I'll start sometime. But not today. But not today. Oh, go get Fire and Ice, right? Now we're once again in some ways really forcing them to get a kill spell for Stoneforge Mystic, because if they don't, and if we draw an untapped land next turn, we're going Fire and Ice and equip or Batterskull without any need for any untapped land, right? So to that end, opponent does crack Fire Islet, and then they'll concede Stoneforge Mystic, really sealing the deal there, but Smallpox was so relevant, our interaction was so relevant. Really cool game. Yeah, so against Izzet Prowess, Izzet Blitz, we need 3 Collective Brutality, a Purge, and then other cards could play a role. Nihil Spellbomb, maybe Plague Engineer, kind of doubting the latter. Let's get these 4 in. Plague Man's just like better than bad stuff. I wonder how good Smallpox really is here on the draw, especially. So these 4 just kind of have to go in. We've got a lot of cuts we could potentially make, especially if we're considering Smallpox here. I'm going to cut 1 Thoughtseize, leave 1 in. That's a very common thing that I do. I don't see any reason this would be different than BGX for that specific decision point. Lingering Soul's very trimmable, however, we do have a low threat count, so we maybe can't trim as heavily as we would in an Absent or in a traditional Dead Guy deck. I think I'm going to cut all Smallpox in. That's probably not how I'm supposed to say it, but I'm gonna. Should I cut all on the draw? Or just some? I'm definitely moving away from them to one degree or another. Now, we gotta leave Elspeth in, even though she's slow. She does have just, like, gain 5 life in addition to everything else she does. Alright, if we cut a Souls, how are we looking here? We're looking like a deck with a lot of life gain and a lot of kill spells, which has got to count for something. I wonder, should we, like, bring a Smallpox back for like, a Lily or something? I think I'm running it like this. I don't feel that I strictly need both Nihil Spellbombs too, but I'm happy enough to play both. Now this hand is awkward, because it's operating with the only black source of Silent Clearing. Other than that, I think it's a respectable hand, but I think I'm actually supposed to mull. We have a sword in hand, which isn't ideal. It's our worst equipment in hand as well. I think I can justify mulling a semi-functional hand. This one is a lot better. In most ways, I will keep it. I just wish it was a 7, because there's no obvious choice as to what to bottom. I'm hoping to get pretty lucky here with bottoming Lingering Souls. However, on the draw against this deck, I think there are worse plans than hoping to get lucky. OP with a Soulscar Mage. Us with a Fatal Push that I am just going to main phase because I know there are a lot of reasons not to, but the reason to is Vapor Snag. I don't, like, we have limited removal. I don't want them to outvalue us, even at the cost of their own tempo with a Vapor Snag. I just don't want that to be the play. And because they have a Swifty and a second land, we're not particularly punished for it. This is probably light up the stage, unfortunately, but they would have made this exact play even if we were holding up push, right? That's the clear thing to do on T2. So, yeah, we're in some trouble. Godless Shrine, yeah. We're just not... It's probably not fast enough this game, but if they don't have a second threat to play, maybe Lily Edict is going to do a lot of things that we like. But they have Sprite Dragons, so I am afraid that our odds just become lower and lower as time goes on. You know, if we had another Fatal Push, that'd be one thing. Alright, so do we want to play Apparition or Heath? It's probably got to be Apparition, because Sprite Dragon can just do horrible things to us. However, this dies to a Stiff Breeze in the context of a Prowess shell, and the Swifty has done quite enough for them to be very happy with their position. Too many threats and too well-balanced progression from the opponent for us to really have hope here, I think. The hope is that they just don't have any spells in hand, right? We draw Celestial Purge, which is fine. It's actually going to enable us to double spell next turn with Lily and Purge if we live. So I think we're supposed to Fection now so we can play painlessly next turn. Opponent says Bile Blight, just saying. I've played it before. In Mono Black Devotion, in Modern, back in the day, I've registered the card Bile Blight, no doubt. So to that end, we are taking the highest possible upside line of playing Elspeth Sun's Nemesis. And I think I'm just going to -3 to gain 5 life to try to extend the game long enough to go Lily Purge next turn. Try to maybe escape Elspeth in the future as flood insurance. Opponent says they registered Bug. Bile Blight and Bug. So yeah, the good news here is that even if we lose, we're going to be on the play for game 3. We hopefully won't have to mulligan for the 3rd game straight. Does opponent just have mono threats? No, they have an Abrade. The Abrade is killer here. Abrade is brutal. Not that any other thing wouldn't be, you know, but still. They're just very, very wide now. What we really need is a Damnation. And I thought about actually suggesting that or including that, but we draw Inquisition, which is very bad. And once again, we're just main phasing these effects because at this stage, as with most stages, you can't afford to get blown out by Vapor Snag or whatnot. And there's no mind games going on, right? Yeah, we're dead to the Lava Dart. GG. Okay. I'm feeling a lot more confident on the play. Again, hopefully we'll have like a really powerful 7 that we don't have to mull. And Smallpox, not Thoughtseize, is very much back on the menu, I would say. I still don't know if we want them all because, you know, the life loss is not free. Might be kind of a bad top deck in the early to mid game with the opponent emptying their hand a lot more quickly than we do. But let's try to just edge a couple back in. A Smallpox for a Souls being better on the play makes a lot of sense to me. I might also try to run with only one Nihil Spellbomb and play a second Smallpox. Everything else, you know, we still have a lot of medium-ish stuff, but a lot of stuff that can line up. I think this is about where I want to be. 2 Smallpox seems good. There is definitely a consideration to just playing all 4 just to have the highest possible density of kill spells, but if you look at the context of our shell, we'd probably have to, lower the curve to do that. I think on the play we can say, you know, playing the Lilies is more viable in that role, so yeah, let's go for it like this. All right, well, it's another it's another silent clearing hand. This one I'm going to keep, though. I mean, it's probably too good to pass up with Brutality, but we need Flagstones of Trokair to make this hand awesome. And even so, we don't have the turn 2 Smallpox blowout because there's no Urborg or Heath, but we will be happy enough to do that on turn 3 after Brutalitying something on turn 2, if we are so lucky. I really wish this Batterskull was just like a Lingering Souls or something. I don't want to pitch it, right? Well, looks like we might not Brutality right away. Thoughtseize. Oh my goodness. The pain, my friends, the pain is so real. Oh, awkward, awkward, awkward. Yeah, we're going to Thoughtseize. Normally this would be decent Brutality fodder if nothing else, but I mean, this is where we're at with this hand. Definitely, I still think a justifiable keep, but we're looking at some wrong half of the deck action, as wrong half as it can be, basically, while still being functional post-side. Are we getting Spell Pierced? No, it's an opt-in response. Interesting. They must need to find a second land drop, otherwise the opt doesn't make that much sense to me. They do. Okay, so Gut Shot and Light Up the Stage is a combo. Gut Shot and Stormwing Entity is also a combo, so a big consideration here is just to actually take Gut Shot. I wonder what they topped. Maybe the Gut Shot itself. Or, if they draw a second land, we're screwed no matter what. Or they're functional no matter what is a better way to put it. I think we have to take the Gut Shot. If they draw a second land, we're punished. They go Bolt Light Up, and then probably can go Bolt Entity or whatever next turn. But we got to play for that fail rate. Take away Gut Shot. So their best draws are a second land or another Gut Shot. They have drawn Opt, which is also good. Some selection at this stage, and they'll top into a second land. So now they're a little slower, but they are at least functional. I was just going to say it might be time to just bite the bullet and go for a bad Smallpox, but we have Flagstone, so we can go for a good Smallpox. You love to see it. Is that what we're supposed to do? Yeah. I think I'm going to be optimistic and pitch the other Smallpox here, although maybe we should pitch Batterskull and just go all in on the Smallpox plan, but I'm not going to bring myself to do that. You know, the opponent's deck can draw lands too. We're probably aggressively escalating Brutality at some point anyway. This has been fascinating to navigate against this deck relative to a normal BGX deck, right? It's interesting that it prompted me to pay 2 life here, because it says with Flagstones enters tapped. I assume you can't have that enter untapped. Oh, opponent rips another land right away, punishing us massively. Dang. Alright, we got Cling to Dust and Collective Brutality, though. These are some good ones. Nothing that can protect Kaya, though. Nothing that can protect Kaya. So we can Brutality away their Lightning Bolts. hold up Cling to Dust. But I don't think we're supposed to. I think we're supposed to try to Brutality and kill that Sprite Dragon, right? Because they're clearly playing it next turn. So why don't we begin by clinging to draw? Lily of the Veil. Alright, well, we don't have a very efficient turn at all, and we also clearly can't afford to crack the Silent Clearing with how high-costed our hand is. So, it's pretty rough. Man, they've just missed that for one turn, that other land. And they get a Swifty, too? Come on, man. Oh, man, they're putting us to the test. We draw Fire and Ice, eh? Okay, so we can now... just like Kaya to kill Swifty, and if they don't draw a haste threat or a non-creature spell, Kaya potentially lives. Alternatively, we could just like give up the Ghost on Batterskull, Brutality away Sprite Dragon, and drain them for 2, and then try to play a game with Lily or Kaya from there. I think we're going to do that. It's a safer play. This has been so unclear, like at almost every stage, what to do. We also, that's almost like a gain 3 instead of a gain 2, just because we don't have to tap Silent Clearing this turn. It matters, right? It matters. Alright, please no insane gas here. They draw a 4th land, which, yeah, another one away from hard casting Stormwing, but our wish has been granted. We have Godless Shrine, so now we can get this Kaya down and exile Swifty. Or... yeah, I think it's still going to be Kaya. We want Lily to be able to edict an entity. I'd like to navigate into a spot where we're just like playing Kaya and ticking up, right? But that's what next turn is for. She could die to a bolt off the top or whatever, but wow, they don't have that, and they don't have a 5th land. Intriguing. Very, very intriguing. So let's gain some life and clean up the graveyard a bit. And then I think I'm just supposed to Lily tick up Ditch Inquisition. Oops. I don't know really what it could hit. There's probably a thing or two, but not much that it could hit. Definitely valuing Sword of Fire and Ice more highly. Vapor Snag. Alright. Well, we would have been rewarded if we led on Inquisition, take the Vapor Snag, then Lily gets an entity out of the hand, but... okay, opponent will opt. They'll be able to play an entity. We've got the Lily ready to edict it, so hopefully they don't have anything too crazy alongside it. They have had to bottom. Ooh, but it's a land. But it's a land. Wow. Bruh. Okay, so now we need another kill spell ASAP. That was kind of nutty. Kind of nutty. And they go top after all said and done. There's still a lot for us to like. We have drawn Stoneforge Mystic. So first we Edict, then we Kaya. That way we're gaining life again. It's really too bad the Batterskull was in our opener. We've got Cling to Dust as well. This has been a really good match. no matter how it ends up. Oh boy, Scrying Manamorphose to the top is how things get real bad, though. That's how they get real bad real quick. Into light up the stage. Dang. Into Sprite Dragon and Lightning Bolt. Well then. That's a lot of stuff. That is a lot of stuff. And we're basically without kill spells, right? Because Kaya can't hit either. I suppose they're going to either attack or bolt Lily off the field. If they bolt Lily off the field, they can attack Kaya off the field too. And then it's Stoneforge Mystic against the world, which might actually be fine if we still had Batterskull, right? But opponent might be wondering if we have like another Batterskull in hand, but they attack Lily. They're ignoring Kaya for now. I think they're able to do that justifiably enough. They're also not going to play Sprite Dragon, so we have a good window now to draw another Lily and Edict the Entity away. So to that end, even though we're pretty mana hungry still, I'm going to crack Silent Clearing. We draw another Silent Clearing and a Swamp. Ugh, pain. The pain. Alright, so I think we're going to try to activate and then equip Stoneforge with Fire and Ice right now. Just basically forcing the bolt onto Stoneforge, which I think overall is a win. Then after that happens, we can gain more life by attacking our own graveyard, which at this stage has got to be correct. We also stop opponent from being able to crack Silent Clearing this way, or they just let it happen. Alright, so Stoneforge is now pro-red and pro-blue. Interesting. Alright, so now there's no creatures at all to eat anywhere, so we'll just attack their spells with Kaya. I didn't expect that. It might prove to be the right play, but I did not expect it. I guess opponent maybe just assumes they can erase us, but, well, you know, if they brick here, they do C2, but if they brick, one's a brick, then, like, Stoneforge Mystic is just gonna wreck their board. Their dragon, anyway. But, okay, there's the bolt we knew about. If the other card's a brick, then we're, like, not doing well, but maybe better than I could have dared hope for in the wake of those bricks. Kaya also drawn some fire here. Okay, well, maybe opponent is trying to kind of bait out our Stoneforge Mystic shock onto the dragon. I mean, ultimately, if so, I guess that's probably fine with me. Really tough sequencing decisions here. We could play and crack Spellbomb immediately. That could reward us, right? But that means we're not getting sort of Feast and Famine down. So another way we're rewarded is just Feast and, like, play and equip Feast and Famine, do the whole thing main phase, and then untap, and the world is our oyster. I think we have to go for that high upside play. And if they have some way to, like, abrade us or something, I mean, that'd be a disaster, right? But lots of things are disasters when we play for high upsides at this stage. Alright, let's put the Feast and Famine. Well, okay, whatever. We're targeting here. We have to target before we see what happens with Feast and Famine, otherwise that would be a neat way to go about things, right? They discard first, and then we know where to point the trigger. It was another Vapor Snag. Huh. Okay. They could have used that, right? Anyway, it doesn't matter. We now get to do a lot here. So, do we play Spellbomb? Let's activate Kaya first. Gain some more life. Feels good. I think we are supposed to play and crack Spellbomb right away. Hope he says Smallpox, no balls. Alright, we're flooding now, but there's a Fatal Push, which is an alright one to have around, just not going to beat Stormwing Entity. Alright, I think all but the nuttiest nut draws from OP we're pretty well safe against. Okay, we're only taking 3, quote-unquote only. Or are we? It's a Lava Dart. Oh my god. Oh my god. Yep. It's a bit rough. Okay. Moment of truth in many ways. Let's go, deck. Let's go. Inquisition of Kozilek. Not it. That is not it. There is no creature in the yard to cling away either. So, I guess we begin just by attacking. I can't believe it was a Lava Dart. That is insane. Okay. So we're going to do that here. With this stuff on the stack, I guess we're just going to cling to draw a card. And we draw Collective Brutality. GG. GG, well played. Wow, what a match. What a match. I feel like I played. GG, well played. Very polite from OP, Sven Sven. Good game, well played to you, my friend. And that was insane. That was insane. That was definitely a little bit of a walk on the wild side compared to good old, Dead Guile or any other black-based mid-range deck, basically. We had so many awkward lines that were not immediately clear, but in some ways were actually more powerful than what would be offered, to my mind anyway, by a mid-range deck. Smallpox didn't ever shut them out of the game, but it definitely played a role. Really, it was the supporting cast of like Kaya, Elspeth, Cling to Dust, stuff like this, the Stoneblade package, that was all insane. So, a hard-fought win here in match 1. Feels good. Alright, I'm keeping the one-lander. We are against a Lurrus deck. We have triple Inquisition. So mulling against the expected Rakdos Shadow deck is bad, and triple Inquisition is good, whether they're on Rakdos Shadow or anything else. Triple Inquisition is nutty. We're also on the draw, more likely to hit that second land. If we do, Smallpox becomes live, but it's probably not going to be our most desirable play. Stoneforge is fine. Having a Fire and Ice in hand, who knows how good that will be. As always, you don't usually love to see equipment in the opener, but all in all, a hand kept on the strength of triple Inquisition and born of a desire not to mulligan in this matchup, and indeed it is Rakdos. Okay, opponent looking at this triple Inquisition hand. Trading 1 for 1 there with another Inquisition makes a lot of sense. However, they probably have to ask themselves, do we want to allow this 2-for-1 with Stoneforge Mystic, and can we beat Smallpox? So they take Smallpox. That's beautiful, because oh my god, we draw Batterskull, literal worst draw on the deck. That's like, I'll never not be disappointed by that in Stoneblade, otherwise I love the archetype. Anyway, yeah. So, they have Tide Hollow Sculler, Dreadhorde Arcanist, Lightning Bolt Fatal Push. Well, the Arcanist is going to run away with this game because we have no kill spells, so we have to take it. Sculler is going to be a 2-for-1 for a little while anyway, but once we draw a kill spell, we'll get rid of that, and that'll be fine. It'll just do some damage along the way, and it'll kind of be a removal magnet. Whereas Dreadhorde Arcanist can rip our hand to shreds in the meantime while we're looking for that kill spell. So, if we had a second land, I'd be feeling just fine. Because we do not. It's anybody's game, and also because we drew a dud in Batterskull, right? Because our Stoneforge Mystic is not living. So Mardu is interesting. Mardu Midrange. My assumption of Rakdos Shadow was incorrect. Maybe Blackcleave Cliffs should have been a warning sign for that, actually, now that I think of it. But either way, we are against something else. Lurrus is poised to be a mirror breaker, as often she is. LP taking Stoneforge. Alright, still really want that second land. We get Fatal Push. That's good if we have to whiff on the land, but whiffing on the land is rough. They have Kroxa. Sheesh, okay. Taking the Bolt, because Bolt can go upstairs in response to the next turn's Inquisition if that's what we do. And also because Bolt can more easily kill Skyclave Apparition if the game goes in a different direction. But, when you're just in kind of a mid-range mirror, but you break on your lands and the opponent doesn't, plus they have the free 8th card waiting in the wings, it's hard to feel optimistic, right? So I'm going to go ahead and bin one of these pieces of equipment here. It's just got to be Batterskull, I guess. And we don't want the opponent to draw any more lands, right? Nice, we get one. Very, very nice. So, Inquisition will get rid of that Fatal Push, or maybe something else, a Thoughtseize. I'm going to take the Thoughtseize, I guess. And then, in order to play around another discard spell, we are going to end step push after taking a hit for 2. It's not free, right? It's definitely not free. Oof, they draw the 3rd land. GG. So now, at least because they show us that main phase, we know that we can push right now and not be punished for it. Am I supposed to shock in case of Skyclave Apparition plus a black land being our draws? I think, yeah. Alright, so we get our Stoneforge back, but Batterskull's already in the bin, Fire and Ice already in the hand. It's not exactly the most thrilling thing in the face of Lurrus and Kroxa, right? Those are some real nasty cards. And obviously, again, Stoneforge just died a push. Smallpox will beat Lurrus, but at the cost of setting us, like, all the way back to square one. But we're still gonna have to use it. Alright, let's just draw Flagstones next turn. Right, that's what we want to draw now. Opponent not playing Lurrus unless they drew a 3rd land. Oh, they draw Bauble. That makes sense. Oh, that's a really good draw. That's a really good draw. Alright, but it does give us a chance to rip a discard spell and punish them for it. Nope, it's Swamp. So at least we will be able to get one of these cards down. I guess it should be... it's actually not clear what it should be. I think I'm going to go with Fire and Ice, but Feast and Famine might be a little better overall in the matchup, but under these particular circumstances, I'm going to go with Fire and Ice. So opponent now knows... the Fire and Ice is the one they didn't know about, right? So there was maybe a little more scope for concealing info to play Feast and Famine, but ultimately they're just going to get their 3 for 1, or their 2 for 0, however you prefer, with Lurrus into Bauble, and then we'll have to Smallpox them away. At great, we'll be pretty far behind, but we're keeping them away from the escaped Kroxa this way. By a couple lands. Opponent activating those baubles could reward us if we draw a discard spell. We draw Silent Clearing, yeah. Alright, so am I supposed to play that and pitch the sword, or should I actually pitch the sword and play the Silent Clearing? That's actually kind of tough. I think we're pitching the sword. Like, we're a mana-hungry deck, and we're going to lose a land of Smallpox. I don't want to go down to 2 lands. 3, I think, is better, especially with clearing for Flood Insurance. So, yeah, I guess Sword of Feast and Famine is out of here. And then we can also crack clearing on the opponent's end step. Big problem is opponents just got a full grip. Again, half a full grip. They're going to have... Well, no, I was thinking only 3, because they lose something to Smallpox, but it's Lingering Souls. They're using our own tech against us. Yeah, not going to lie, this seems like a pretty bad matchup. Not going to lie. Dang, Lingering Souls, huh? Young Pyromancer. Ooh. Into Bauble. Always just bobbling us main phase, giving us chances to benefit from that. Gotta crack clearing here. Into Godless Shrine, so that's rewarded, I guess. And into Smallpox. Well, it's not bad. It's really not bad. If only we'd had a Flagstones involved at any point here, it would be much better. But that's a pretty good time for a Smallpox, you have to say. Really punishing opponent for playing out Pyro without getting any value first or any way to protect it, rather than just doing the more conservative but safer play of Lingering Souls. And we might just, land screw the opponent out of this game. That'd be pretty lucky, but hey, that's part of what Smallpox does, right? Kroxa is but a distant memory, right? As far as cards we're afraid of go. Claim. Yikes. Big yikes. They can just, flashback bolts here. We draw Thoughtseize, really. Okay, well, I'm going to sit here and pretend to tank for a minute. And then I'm going to say go. I basically want to bait them into Inquisitioning rather than just bolting to close out the game, right? But yeah, now we need to draw yet another kill spell. We have drawn a fair amount. They've been Smallpoxes, rather than more traditional ones mostly, but yeah, they're going for the bolt. Fair enough, OP. Fair enough. All right. Makes sense. Pretty cool build from OP. And there are the souls. We draw souls of our own. Well, we could Thoughtseize ourselves to put the souls in the bin, but then we're just dead. Just about dead. We're just about dead either way. Yep. Victim of our own Smallpox in a couple ways, but really Smallpox also just kind of keeping us in the game. Aftermath is now live. Opponent making the land drops after all of our Smallpoxes. Yep. That's what they're going for. I'm going to concede to conceal information here. We don't have any outs from 1 life against that board on only 2 lands. So, yeah. Winnable matchup, I think, but probably tough. For sure need those 2 Nihil Spellbombs like we've needed very few things before. We can sideboard very heavily here. Plague Engineer seems very good. Ashiok seems very good as a one-of. I could see playing 2. Collective Brutality, again, I'm going to want some number of these, maybe not the full... maybe not the full bounty of what our sideboard has to offer, and then Celestial Purge has a lot of targets. So I think we should play that for sure. I think we're going to say 1 Brutality for sure, and then we're also considering Brutality 2 and 3, Ashiok. Brutality doesn't kill Dreadhorde Arcanist, which is a problem. We also, I think we're supposed to side out a Smallpox. I know it was decent there. I know it can potentially cheese the game, but they're a token deck, that's... I don't think it's the matchup for Smallpox to really shine. Opponent might also play scared of it, kind of like a Blood Moon type of effect, so that's something. The rest of our deck looks awesome, besides probably wanting to just trim discard. Thoughtseize for sure is the one to trim. Their Aluris deck. And we could go down to the 3 Inquisition and have a really solid 60. I think that's where I'll start, and then we're going to sort by CMC. And, maybe Skyclave Apparition isn't my very favorite here. Just because they flood the board so much. I could see playing something over it. I don't know whether a second Ashiok or a Brutality is better. Why don't we do that? And why don't we make it a Brutality just for the sake of curve and synergy with Souls and Elspeth and the usual? We should also actually probably replace a Lily. I guess with an Ashiok is fine. 4 Lily is a lot, even on the play, for this matchup. I almost forgot about that. Okay, I like where we're at. You could maybe tweak a little bit more even around the edges, but I do like where we're at. Alrighty. This hand needs a 3rd land like nobody's business, but it is a keep. The value is completely and utterly off the charts. We even have a couple utility lands, although, the silent clearing won't do us much good unless we draw the missing lands we need anyway. But it's a heck of a hand overall. It's a little one-dimensional. It's a little bit of a strange thing to say, but the way it lines up, especially on the play, is one-dimensional in some ways. If we don't hit the 3rd land, we're in big trouble. If they have discard and they take our key piece, we're in trouble. The key pieces would maybe be taking Liliana if they're on a Dreadhorde Arcanist progression, for example. And it can be a little one-dimensional because we are all in on the token battle, basically. Our souls could get blown out by their Plague Man. We're hoping they present a blowout for our Plague Man. This is a hand that really doesn't want to get Thoughtseized, but that's what they have. And we'll be able to know probably a lot about their hand based on what they take here, more than in most cases. Because make no mistake, it is a pretty scary hand to be looking at. They take Lily. Okay. It's a little scary, right? Expecting Arcanist now. That was my initial read. Okay, we draw Ashiok. We draw another uncastable. Just gotta hit that 3rd land, man. Just gotta do it. I would love if they just, like, presented a Brutality target, right? Because even if we don't draw the third land, we could at least Brutality away souls aggressively. I couldn't bring myself to do that last time, though. I don't think that was correct right there. We need to only start doing that once we miss the third land drop, which I hope we won't, right? But their main phase fetching shocking, but them just saying go. Alright. Or are they? They are. Okay, I don't know. Well, they're representing Lightning Helix or something. Who knows? Flagstones, let's go. Alright, so is it Ashiok time? To shut off further fetch lands and to start messing around with the graveyards and being reasonably able to protect it. If they want to point a couple burn spells at Ashiok, that's a win for us as well. Lingering Souls is a very safe play to make as well, but I think we're going for the Ashiok here. And we'll self-mill. Getting a bauble out of there is definitely fine. We put an escape card in our own graveyard. Granted, we're 3 lands away from ever playing her, but yeah, Ashiok drawing a bolt. That's good. 2 bolts? Better. Nice. Okay, that is a very value-positive trade for us. We 2-for-1 them directly, and then we have the indirect value of filling our graveyard and getting rid of theirs. And do they not even have a third land anyway? They don't, but they do have what we were afraid of, which is Dreadhorde Arcanist. So let's draw a kill spell. We draw Purge. Nice. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. Okay. Yep, that's what we have to do. I don't want them getting any value, so we're going to spend the turn purging. That's fine. No need to main phase this one. Unlike in the previous match. Of course, Liliana, the Veil would have been the dream, right, for that spot last time, but we'll take anything that actually lines up here. Fatal Push would have been nice too, just enabling us to double spell. But again, not complaining. I sure do hope they're not a Blood Moon deck, right? They go Young Pyro into the known Brutality, beautiful. We draw Skyclave Apparition, which is fine, but let's make Brutality line up. I'm going to check the hand and kill the Pyro. We know we're going to probably hit. We get to escalate with souls. At the same time, I don't want to get that greedy and drain. We still have to respect the value of the front half of souls. So -2, check your hand. Pitch of souls. Now, if only we'd drawn a 4th land, we'd be really in business. They have Fatal Push, Kaya's Guile, Kroxa, Lightning Bolt. We're just going to take the Guile. Or are we? It could rot in hand for longer. Yeah, I think we're still taking the Guile. It is just a 2-for-1. And we can just go on the Lingering Souls plan really hard in the face of their Bolt, Push, Kroxa. And try to find better spots for Plague Man and Apparition. They draw land. That's pretty scary. Well, we don't want Lurrus involved anytime soon. Hopefully they just play Kroxa and hold up Bolt. They do. Yeah, I'd prefer that. So we are going to pitch souls here. I really just want to draw an untapped land next turn, escape all my Lingering Souls, and take it from there. We draw Stoneforge Mystic. Well, okay. I'm going to play Souls. I'm getting a little nervous about them drawing like a Spellbomb or something. I can't afford to let all these go. Stoneforge Mystic is a higher upside play, because if we play her, and they're just going to bolt or push her anyway. So no, this was the right play, I have to say. Just making their removal bad. Ooh, they can now escape Kroxa. We do have an out. But, yeah, they can escape Kroxa now. But they're going to put Lurrus into hand. They would need to fetch to do that. I guess they don't want to get rid of all their Lurrus targets with the Kroxa, I guess. Maybe they're just giving us the most possible things to have to think about here. We've drawn Lily of the Veil. Alright. Lily's very good. I think it's time to get a 2-for-1 with Stoneforge Mystic. Give them the most things to think about, right? They're going to kill her, so we're going to get just like Fire and Ice here. Or it could be Feast and Famine, but I think at this stage with us as kind of the aggressor, it should be Fire and Ice. That can evade Kroxa just as well. It also kills Lurrus if we connect with it, which we have flyers to do that with. We could also get, like, Feast and Famine if we're a little happier to, like, pitch that to Kroxa. But maybe at this point we're just pitching Plague Engineer, so yeah, I'll get Fire and Ice. We'll try to get a closer. Yeah, just missing this 4th land forever has been so bad. But we're still actually kind of in the driver's seat. They just have a lot. They just have a lot going on, right? There's a lot going on here. Are we doing the Lurrus thing, but without anything to buy back? Unless they have a Bauble, but they really, I guess, should lead on Bauble to be a little safer if that's the case. Oh, they have that. Okay. Yeah, they also should have fetched first, right? Because not give us a window to respond here, but we can't punish it. We could have had Path to Exile. Dismember, maybe. But Young Pyro is what comes back, so Plague Engineer blows him out. So that's something. But we probably just need to Apparition the Lurrus away and try to win the race in the air, because Lurrus's lifelink is just too good. Still no 4th land. Hopefully we just won't need it, right? Remember, we have another Souls in the bin. We've also drawn a Souls. Is this just going to be Bolt Apparition, Escape Kroxa? Maybe I have a very big board out of nowhere, if so. But they have another card in hand, maybe if they've drawn something better. They've drawn another. They're playing the Kroxa from hand. Okay. I think at this stage we pitch Lily of the Veil. But, like, pitching the Souls would obviously be fine there, too. Yeah, not sure why you don't just escape the other Kroxa there. Unless I'm missing something. Maybe they didn't have... Maybe because they don't have the colors to do it because they bolted. Sure. So I take it back. Skyclave Apparition. That's a fine one. I don't know what to play here. It's kind of all good, frankly. Probably the responsible thing to do is to just play Lingering Souls from hand to make sure we're killing them next turn, shy of a Wrath or a EE or a Plague Engineer. That's the game. Lingering Souls OP, but that was a close one, specifically because we were on 3 lands the entire game, and we had a mana-hungry hand, but value OP, good interaction points. Opponent had different stumbling points as well. Okay, guys, this is a grindy league, but we're having fun. I think on the draw, we move away from Lily more aggressively, maybe going down to about 1. If we have enough to do, which I think bringing back a 4th Inquisition is fine, and maybe we play a little bit more answer-oriented with a Skyclave Apparition. I'm a little leery of a 3rd Brutality, right? If they're just too wide, or if they're on Arcanist, it doesn't line up. So I think, and I still don't think I want Smallpox, especially on the draw. So we'll bring back the Skyclave Apparition. I think that's reasonable. And run it like this. I'm definitely, a lot of our stuff is worse on the draw. The 2 Ashiok's definitely not that impressive. If I had a different progression, or rather a different sideboard, maybe I'd go down to 1 of those. All right, well, in case they're on Blood Moon here in Game 3, we have 2 basic lands in hand, and this is an okay keep. I will keep it. It's okay. Doesn't thrill me. As we always seem to do in this 24-land deck, we need to draw a 3rd land real bad. OP, yeah. OP's keeping 7 and Thoughtseizing us turn 1 every game. They're having some pretty good openers, you have to say. These have been great matches so far. Great games so far. We'll see what OP takes here. Fatal Push is a pretty obvious candidate, but it could be anything. It is the push indeed. Got it. We draw... Man, I'm not trying to tilt. I'm actually not tilted, but I do truly feel our variance has been really bad. In a lot of non-game ending ways, but ways that are just really lower your quality of life as a mid-range player, right? As a Stoneforge player specifically, we're drawing all the damn equipment every time. Keeping 1 in your opener is okay, I don't like it, but I guess I will, and then immediately drawing another one. It's happened a lot so far. So Sculler takes away Brutality makes a lot of sense. We still don't hit the 3rd land. I'm going to play my Stoneforge Mystic before I draw the Batterskull naturally, and also to force them to have a kill spell. Also, in a couple different ways, we're rewarded for this if we draw the 3rd land next turn. We're also just guaranteeing a 2-for-1, but boy, oh boy, oh boy. Look at this clunker of a hand. At least Smallpox isn't in the deck, right? And so now they've cleared the way for a Pyro and a Bolt. This is a nut draw from OP. You hate to see it. We need a lot of help. We need a lot of help. Now I just want to kill spell off the top for Pyro, otherwise it's going to be overwhelming. Yeah, probably that becomes our new priority, just kill that guy. We draw another uncastable. Nothing I can do about this. Reasonable 2-land keep. Failed to hit it for the 3rd turn running. They have EE, which we don't care about yet, although it will definitely clean up our 3 drops nicely at some point, but for now, must take Dreadhorde Arcanist. No question about it. OP's got Lurrus coming. Yeah, this is rough. Hate to be this deep into a match and then just kind of roll over and die, but them is the breaks, my friends. They don't have a fail rate here, because if they brick, they just put Lurrus into hand. And they've drawn Bauble right on cue, so I don't think we can recover. I'm going to take a draw step, then probably scoop if it's nothing that immediately puts us back in contention. So it's another uncastable. All right, very frustrating, but there you go. Okay, well, a winnable matchup, but when you don't draw lands and you draw basically the worst half of your deck, in context of not drawing lands, the game is deterministic. Opponent's curve out was really, really strong, too. Ultimately, did our play factor into the win there in game 2? I think probably it did. Maybe there's one or two things that I missed, but ultimately seems like a bit of a bad matchup, but winnable enough, just like unfavored enough to notice, right, given how similarly the decks play out. So, unfortunate, but there you go. Alright, this is a pretty balanced keep, but do note that we're on double white, so unless we draw a black land in the first 3 turns, which we've shown ourselves unable to do a couple times so far, this league, we cannot cast a Liliana curve. Oh, but OP's on Tron. Maybe Eldrazi Tron, because they keep 7 with no turn 1 map. Either way, we're Thoughtseizing, and we've also drawn Smallpox, which we need a second black land even more now, because we have a Flagstones in hand for the combo. Yep, it is E-Tron, Dismember, Karn, Double Smasher, Cavern, Temple. So definitely not Dismember. I guess probably just Karn, right? It's the 2-for-1. We have a lot of answers to Smasher. If they rip like a second Eldrazi Temple, I'll be really sad, but in general, we should be okay making that take, and, oh boy, another Skyclave Apparition. That's okay, but we really just want to do like Liliana and Smallpox type things more than anything else, right? Okay, there's the Cavern, so no Smasher this turn. Hopefully no Thought-Knot Seer either. Looks like it is a Thought-Knot, or maybe a Reshaper. Hey, Reshaper gets Apparitioned nicely. Alright, but, then if they just have any other land, they're casting Smasher, and then we really need the black land for Smallpox or Lily. It is Flagstones number 2, huh? Well, we can fix our own mana that way. We can Apparition the Reshaper this turn. And then next turn we're Smallpoxing for great value. Kinda. Having to go Apparition and then Smallpox, though, definitely not ideal, so, maybe Liliana's better. We know how much the land destruction hurts their deck, though. They're just going to Dismember us. Okay, that makes our Smallpox, actually, I was going to say better, but it's worse, because now Illusion protects the Smasher. Very interesting. I still think that was the right play, but, honestly, Lingering Souls was live there too, perhaps. Whatever. Having to do some kind of awkward stuff no matter how you slice it. I think they're probably still supposed to Smallpox here. We have another Smallpox. Fascinating. Can't cast it, though. But we can... no, this Plains is killing us. Love to be able to flash back Souls here, too, right? But... So we need to Smallpox in the hopes that it will... that they don't have another land to play, that Smasher is stranded in hand for a turn. Long enough for us to kill... Or for long enough for us to get there, right? Stop the other one from ever hitting the field, ideally, between all of our discard effects and the rest. Apparition cannot answer Smasher. Yeah, we just have to Smallpox. I don't see any other way. So it hasn't been perfect. Far from it. Guess ditching Lingering Souls makes the most sense here. we needed to curve out just a little bit more efficiently. We have the right tools to dunk this matchup with this hand. Just need to curve out a little bit more efficiently. Maybe if we were on the play too, but then again, the lack of black land was really what did it, play or draw. Okay, so we get the other Smasher out of hand. Nice. And again, if this Plains was just a swamp, even flashing back Lingering Souls would be nice, but... or if it was... Imagine if it was a Heath, we could filter into another Smallpox. Oh man, the lines with this deck, when it all comes together, are insane. Unfortunately, that is a bit Christmas landy. Just want to fade another creature above all, right? I have another E-Temple. Hopefully there's no... That's a Maze Mine Tome. That's a strong card. It's a really strong card right now. Big yikes. So the Smallpox might hurt us more than it hurts them, specifically because Maze Mine Tome will let them draw on the end step, which is insane. Hate this card. Let's Lily. Let's Lily instead. Smallpox to keep them off of lands is otherwise pretty attractive, but it's hurting us too now. You get the sense that they've just had a little bit too much for us to deal with here in this game one, don't you? Drawing our Smallpoxes is good against this deck, don't get me wrong. But yeah, they're just kind of a step ahead of us most of the time, most of the way here. Maze Mine Tome was an incredible last card for them. That just kind of killed my hope, frankly. We can't really hope they brick realistically any longer. Chalice on 1 we don't care about almost at all. Stoneforge Mystic. Oh man. I really just hate to single spell again and again, right? But if we main phase Apparition targeting the Tome, they'll draw in response, then we get it out of their hand with Lily. So I guess we kind of have to do that. Really probably would have... I mean, it's easy to say Chalice on 2. Maybe that's not even correct. Because we don't have that many 2-drops, so we just happen to have a handful of them. They're going to scry in response. That's clever, rather than drawing. I like that play. And they will bottom. Okay, so now they can brick. We're going to put Lily straight back to 2. Get rid of one of our Smallpoxes, I guess. Oh, no, they're... Ooh. Attack edging us? Alright, yeah, fair enough. Still ditching a Smallpox here. Our position's interesting. It's okay. The Reality Smasher is one of their scariest top decks. We've already beaten 2 of them. There's a Flagstones. There's a Flagstones. Nice. Oh, but how to use it? So... I kind of want to just take my chances for one turn. Play the Mystic, flash back the Souls. Then we just leave Lily at 2. I think that's good. Keep Smallpox in hand. I don't think smallpoxing them right now changes a great deal. Batterskull makes sense to me here, but you could do a variety of things, of course. Alright. All is Dust, very scary one now that they have the third Eldrazi Temple. They're just drawing lands, but obviously we know how that can go, right? We know how that can go all too well. Castle Locthwain. We supposed to smallpox them off of just an Urza's Mine here? I think so, because that just is fine, because it lets us put the Lily to 3. We just lose a token this way, no big deal, although I should have attacked first, admittedly. That was bad. Hopefully that won't matter. Sorry, guys. First time out, complicated business. I think overall I'm playing relatively tightly, but I did miss a point of damage there, no doubt about it. Alright, so OP's at 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh my god, the 1 point of damage matters so much. Oh no. Blast Zone. No, so we would have had them dead if I had just attacked first, rather than talking out the line. Bra moment. That said, it feels like we're in pretty great shape, right? Feels like we're in pretty great shape. But you never know. Alright, let's get that land down. Let's take up. Then we'll activate Castle Locthwain just in case there's anything that really changes the clock here, but I don't think there is. Yep, if we had attacked before a smallpoxing, GG. Another smallpox could finish them off, though. There are reasons definitely to activate Castle. Main phase. We don't have Brutality main deck. We don't have the mana to find a sword and then deploy and equip it. So yeah, yet again, they'd just be dead if I had chipped in with that spirit just one more time. Hey, Lingering Souls has been so good this league, though. You do love to see it. Alright, we're looking for the stylish 4th Smallpox off the top after attacking. That'd be really funny. I don't know if OP's BMing us or if they just had an issue come up right at the decisive moment of the game. Sorry about this. This is going to be one of the longest leagues I've played in a while, I suspect. Alright, we're back. Let's activate. I should maybe have cracked Marsh Flats to thin first. Doesn't matter, I guess. Doesn't matter at all, because it is a land. We have already played the land, right? Okay. The only reason to play that major reason would be to bounce Batterskull in the event of the unthinkable happening, but so OP going to 3 makes some sense here, taking care of Lily and Apparition. Apparition will give them a 2/2, however, our Spirit in the Air will finish them off. unless they have some way to beat that. What on earth? What on earth are you? They top deck something nutty. All is dust! No! Oh my god. I have only myself to blame, though, right? Only myself to blame. Unbelievable. Okay. Well then. Well then. Alright, at least we can redeploy Batterskull, but again, we're just a turn away from bouncing it and forcing the chump. Or a land away, rather. And we draw Kaya Orzhov Usurper. Interesting. They'll be able to kill her with Blast Zone on 3, so why don't we just... 1, 2, 3. We can't... Yeah. Can't do that, so... Yep, we're just going to take that trade and then maybe draw out their Blast Zone, rather than them, you know, taking it up to beat Batterskull. Man, I can't believe that. That's clearly something that, lacking the attack, failing to attack with the Spirit, it's clearly something I would not do if I wasn't on an unfamiliar deck or commentating. One or the other, yeah. But both, not good. Not good. Matter Reshaper, oh no. Oh no. Alright. You got it. All right, I still just want a Smallpox for the win. That'd just be the most stylish way to do it. But Blast Zone trading with Kaya. And also trading with Matter Reshaper, actually. Revealing an Urza's power plant. Fair enough. Getting them through a bricked top deck next turn. We draw Urborg. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Not enough to play Batterskull. And activate Castle. So we're playing Batterskull. This game should be over and I'm stressing myself out, but they still need to top deck something pretty good here, and there it is. All right. So sorry about that, but it was a very minor, actually, thing in the grand scheme of things. It just so happened to be very impactful, but that's why every little decision can matter in this wonderful game, right? So anyway, Fulminator Mage, Revoke Existence. Those are the two cards, the two categories of card I want to reach for. 3 Fulminator, 1 of the latter, and I think that's about it. So Plague Engineer is definitely okay. I don't know if he's quite as appealing here as he would be in other shells, but we'll see what we don't like quite as much. I'm pretty comfortable cutting a Cling to Dust. You want to shade away from getting locked out by Chalice on 1. They're also going to have Grave Hate and Post Side. To that end, I think trimming like about 1 Inquisition is about right. And, you know, Kaya Orzhov Usurper is actually pretty poor here on the whole, although she isn't out to a decent number of things. Ultimately, these cards all have to come in. So I think she's cuttable. I think Elspeth is cuttable. And I think you could also, like, maybe move a little bit away from Lingering Souls, the Stoneforge package, one or both. I think what I'm going to end up doing is probably bringing in the Plague Men, cutting the Planeswalkers. I think that's a fair enough trade, and then we just need to trim just a tad. Maybe 2 Lingering Souls is just the thing to do. Maybe a single Fatal Push as well. The card doesn't kill all that much, and yeah, I think I like this. Let's see how the curve looks, but again, raising the curve against Chalice on 1 is definitely reasonable. I'm comfortable with this amount of edge trimming. Let's see how it does for us. Well, it's a great keep, actually. Inquisition into Revoke into Fulminator with Lingering Souls for kind of glue. and Urborg to make our clearings painless, to some extent anyway. We will keep it, and don't get me wrong, Urborg can help them a little bit too. It's not like a card you have to see in the matchup or anything, but we'll take it. And we've drawn Stoneforge Mystic. So if we don't need to revoke anything, we've got a proactive turn 2 play. You'll love to see it. They have Dismember and Matter Reshaper as the 2 possible takes. They're also going to have, unfortunately, a turn 3 Thought-Knot Seer we can't do anything about. That's a big deal. That's going to take away our Fulminator, and that's going to make them a lot more functional than they'd otherwise be. I'm still going to take Reshaper here, though. If they want to Dismember or Stoneforge Mystic, that's still a 2-for-1 for us. But they'll get to do it pretty painlessly because of our Urborg, right? So I'd love to just draw Thoughtseize here. We draw another Mystic. Yeah. I mean, that makes them dismembering the first one even better, so sure. And hey, for once we don't have any equipment in hand. So, let us go get... They're all about the same here, you know, all in all. I'm going to get Batterskull. It's going to basically guarantee they dismember here, right? They're just paying life, though. Are they splashing for Shadow post-side? What's going on there? They didn't realize. Oh, we hate Thought-Knot Seer ahead of curve, don't we? Don't we just hate it? I assume Fulminator Mage goes down here, but you do never know. It will all depend on their hand, which we know 1/3 of. We know about Ulamog, who we hope will be a non-factor in this game. They're nowhere near casting him right now. We've got plenty of ways to get him out of hand before that comes to fruition. We are nowhere near our big Smallpox combo, but if we draw Smallpox, I'll still cast it, right? And yeah, sure enough, down goes Fulmi. Yep, still definitely feeling good about a Smallpox here if that's what we have to do. Marsh Flats. That ain't it. That ain't it. So, I'm just going to conceal info, play a Stoneforge Mystic, resign myself to a turn of Thought-Knot beats, get more 2-for-1s going. I think I take Feast and Famine here, right? That's going to really wreak havoc on their hand. It's going to let us double spell, which with our clunky hand, we could really use some of that. This is all assuming we eventually start connecting with it. I think our bigger problem is that we don't really have necessarily a ton of interaction remaining, and the opponent could be doing some scary Tron things starting now. They're not going to be Tron line, but they could have some powerful effects either way. But they don't have another land. Nice. That makes the Fulminator loss all the more painful. But they're doing something on their own end step here. They're going to Warping Wail. Got it. Okay. And we draw Lily. Let's go. That is hype. That is some hype. Great draw. Painless black. Painless black. Oh, come on, client. Don't lag on us now. And here we are, friends, with the replay that was promised. Yeah, just lagging as mentioned. So this is right where we were. We were edicting with Liliana, and the client said, no, that is too powerful. You cannot simply edict away a Thought-Knot Seer and draw a card. Here's some lag, right? But now we're doing it in replay form to finish up this match anyway, and we draw Inquisition, and right away we have an interesting decision point. Our hand's so powerful that holding on to an Inquisition that might whiff as Liliana fodder for next turn is great, but we also could get rewarded if we fire it off right here, right now. After some deliberation, we do fire it off, and we're rewarded. We see Ulamog, which I think we knew about, but Reality Smasher, and Matter Reshaper, and as we know, Matter Reshaper very OP, so It's just a hand of Ulamog and the Smasher facing down a very powerful hand and a Lily. What we really want to fade more than anything is either a land or a castable Eldrazi, and they do hit the land, so they're Smashy, and Smashy going to take care of Liliana as expected, and then it's Fulminator Mage off the top, and we were just starting to feel a little bit punished, but now that's a pretty nice one. Now we definitely are going to get hit by Smasher yet again, but Fulminator is going to come down, no messing around, hit the E-Temple right away, and, we still have a lot of value in hand, but we have no answer to a Smasher. Opponent draws an Expedition map, so they are going to be rebuilding from our land destruction, unfortunately. But, what's that? What's that, you say? Did somebody call for a little land destruction because we rip Smallpox off the top? Let's go. What a hype rip that is, my friends. So we get to kind of do it all, just shy of having Flagstones of Trokair anyway to stay even on lands, but we get to we get to basically trade Smallpox for their Smasher, a land for a land which behooves us, and a card in hand for a card in hand, but our card happened to be Lingering Souls. So we even get to flash it back and double spell for not only good value, but also good tempo. You do love to see it, and OP will tutor with Expedition map. They have abandoned the hope of getting Tron line, not even choosing to get an Eldrazi Temple. They go get Scavenger Grounds. Now, I do understand the idea of getting utility land here, but are they really going to exile? Are they really going to sacrifice a land anytime soon? Probably not. But they rip another Expedition map, so I do understand the impulse, and they are continuing to rebuild with their lands in the face of our extreme depletion. But we draw Shambling Vent, could prove to be interesting. Definitely all right with it, because it just lets us play the sword as we were going to anyway, while getting a tap land deployed, right? Nothing at all wrong with that. So back to the OP, let's see what they want off of Expedition map. This time it is Blast Zone. That makes a lot of sense, and I guess it didn't make as much sense before, maybe, with only 3 lands. It is the 3rd. Who knows? In any case, we're definitely going to try to get a sword equipped here, and I'm just going to go for a main phase Stoneforge Mystic as well. We're playing for the highest possible upside, where we tap fully out. We're double spelling once we get to untap, basically, and we are also depleting the opponent like mad. So they have 1 card in hand, and the Sword of Feast and Famine will connect. You love to see it. So we get that Worm Coil Engine out of their hands. Now, yes, we had the beating of it with Revoke Existence, but still, that feels awesome. And then what do we do in the second main? Well, we could get a Sword of Fire and Ice down, and that's indeed what we decided to do. I wouldn't do it if they had 1 more land, because then they could put Blast Zone to 3, but as it so happens, all they can do this turn is put it to 2. Even if they put it to 3 next time, we'll have gotten some good value out of Fire and Ice. I think that's well worth it. We'll also then be pricing them, of course, into Blast Zone specifically on 3, and then maybe our weenies naturally can get over the line. But anyway, time to fire up our attack phase, equipping a sword, and then we're going to crack Silent Clearing, finding a Smallpox, very interesting, but once again taking all of our actions main phase so as to maximize the power of the untap off of Feast and Famine, and the opponent last turn drew an Urza's Mine, so we know all of this is going to connect. So Feast and Famine on tap, Fire and Ice, putting the opponent down to 2. We rip Inquisition, and so my first thought is, well, that's okay, because it's good Smallpox fodder. And then I'm like, no, we don't even want a Smallpox. Yes, we don't lose a land, and they will, because we have Flagstones, and that is something. But ultimately, we're losing a creature. They're not. We're losing 2 cards out of hand, Smallpox plus whatever we discard. They don't. And they're at 2, so even if they somehow wipe our entire board, we can still kill them with Shambling Vent. So I think the best play here is to simply hold up Revoke Existence in case of Ensnaring Bridge or whatever, so we can just untap and kill them, right? In any case, opponent will go Blast Zone on 3, then they rip Urza's Tower. So it is GG, but the opponent, maybe knowing that we were lagging, of course, is going to make us play it out. And or maybe they just want to take more actions and say, look at all the fun stuff we can do off of Blast Zone. We were so close to stabilizing, whatever it might be. Either way, Blast Zone's going to trade with our swords, Shambling Vent's going to get in on the act, and we have the win here. Opponent's going to exile the graveyards out of spite, and then Spirit Tokens, Squire, and a Vent that happens to be Shambling will close out the game. So, feeling pretty good about that one. Always nice to beat the Eldrazi Menace, and that is definitely some of what we should expect a Smallpox deck to be able to do. Definitely had the whole spectrum of land destruction and Smallpox itself and hand disruption and value off of Stoneforge Mystic and Planeswalkers. It all came together pretty nicely here for us. So, feels good, my friends, and now we are back to live recorded content in round 4. Alright, well, we've got 4 lands and 2 Smallpoxes and a Souls. I think this is a keep. Obviously, we don't have the Wombo combo with Flagstones, but this looks like one of the hands that we like to sign up for with a deck like this. Okay, I guess maybe Rakdos Midrange or Jund, because it's Blood Crypt into Thoughtseize with no Luris. So surely a Smallpox goes down here, which is really rough. Lily's a good draw, though. The Thoughtseize is so rough, though, because we were light on gas. Our hand relatively one-dimensional, obvious take of Smallpox, and perhaps most importantly, they now know not to play a creature out into Smallpox. And that information's very impactful. Jund it is. Dark Confidant? Alright, I mean, we're just Smallpoxing that away for sure. Right? I mean, Fatal Push is a thing, but now we got a Smallpox. It's too good. Maybe this is like a 900 IQ play from opponent, and they've got a Renin 6 and another land rolled up, and they're gonna, like, win the long game this way, but ultimately, I'm pretty cool with this. We get a push out of their hand, that's a thing. Alright. I think we have to take that line. Like I said, OP could then just have another green land into Ren into winning the long game, but another way to read that is it was a bit of a desperation play. They're going to lose something here. They'd prefer to lose Bob over something else. We're hoping for the latter. Yeah, wow. Okay, really rewarded. You love to see it. Or maybe it was a gamble from OP. We draw Stoneforge Mystic, that's nice. Maybe it was a gamble from OP, where it's, they have their end, but they needed to draw another land. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Against Jund, let's go get Feast and Famine with this as the current texture of the game. They also didn't have a bolt or a push. We know they pitched one, but it's nice that they didn't have another. Now they have a bolt. Alright. No other land, though? Obviously, yep, because they would have done it last time, right? So, we're going to get a Lily down, and that's going to be the play. We'll play a little loose with our life total. There's honestly some incentive to just make this a swamp, rather than the silent clearing land drop, because we've got lots to do with our mana, right? But it's a mid-range mirror. We might need that draw. You never know. We might need the Revolt, too. We get Bloodbraid out of the hand. All right. OP's found a second land. Let's see if they have the Renin 6. That would be the nightmare. They have a Tarmogoyf. No big deal. They just got a Goyf. You know, no big deal. Only a Goyf. We have a Stoneforge Mystic. Yeah, dude. You love to see it. So, our hand is pretty good. I'm just going to take the Edict value here, get another 2 for 1, hold up a Fatal Push. This time we'll go get Batterskull. This will kind of force the opponent to find an answer to Mystic, I think. It's also something I will just, like, pitch to Liliana if need be. That's the game. Okay, then. Smallpox OP. That was the big, big, big winner there. That turn 2 Smallpox taking care of a Bob and land screwing OP. They did play into it a little bit, you have to say. So, Nihil Spellbomb is the only clear must-have. That's the bad news. The good news is that our whole deck looks pretty good. Except, ironically, maybe a Smallpox on the draw against Jund I'm not as excited about. But trimming discard is definitely kind of live, too. I think I'm going to play a Celestial Purge over a Smallpox and 2 Spellbombs over 2 discard spells and probably call it good there. They are on Bob, so maybe Plague Engineer gets a little bit better, too. But is it better than any of our other 3 drops? I'm really not so sure. So if we play him, we are raising our curve up a little bit. I think on the draw, I like this. On the play, I'll probably cut a 3rd discard for a single Plague Man if I don't see the need to make any other tweaks and be happy with that. We might need to find room for that 4th Smallpox again on the play, too. But, yeah, I think I can... I'm just thinking about going down to 2 Smallpox on the draw. I think that's what I should do. We'll play a Plague Man. Our curve's a little wonky now, but that's fine. You just know, like with Wrenn and 6, it's just not always going to be like it was in Game 1. Let's put it that way. OP keeping 7, as will we. It's a solid keep, and OP is a big fan of the channel. David R123. Thank you for saying that, my friend. And we exchange the well wishes, and now it's off to the races. Spelling OP. Opponent wants to know if we're recording. I think I'm recording, but these days it's hard to tell sometimes with how much I have, how many issues I have. As I said, we got a new computer on the way, but it's been very frustrating. Lately, I'm just not suited for the task, right? Opponent says, good news for me then. I like your mid-range videos. You'll love to hear it. Very nice again. OP did keep 7 and led on a Raging Ravine. Now it is Inquisition time. We just do need a 3rd land with this hand pretty badly. Tarmogoyf Lightning Bolt, Bloodbraid and Huntmaster. Scary top end. Yeah, I don't think I mind that much if we get a 2-for-1 and they end up bolting our Mystic, right? It's not the end of the world. OP's found Nihil Spellbomb. That's a good find. We have found a 3rd land. That is good, too. So I think I'm going to get a couple basics here. We'll get a black one first. I'm going to cast a Stoneforge Mystic. This does give them a tension between bolting and spellbombing. It also guarantees a 2-for-1. We know that there are 2 very high-value Thoughtseize targets that will still be in OP's hand next turn, right? So I don't really want to play Lily on curve anyway. Yeah, I'm just going to go get Batterskull, make them bolt the Mystic. That's fine. I don't really want to play Lily on curve into a Bloodbraid Elf anyway, necessarily, especially with our hand looking decent. Alright, 2-for-1 secured. Let's see if we can leverage that into enough advantage to weather the storm of this top-end action. They could always miss the 4th land drop too, right? But I don't know how likely that exactly is. Oh, we drew another Thoughtseize. That's gotta be pretty good. It's gotta be a pretty darn well-timed Thoughtseize. We're getting low on life to do all this wonderful, wonderful stuff, but they do have the 4th land, and we get to really punish them at this crucial turning point of the game. Okay, OP is not spellbombed in response to either one, so I take it there's no... Take it there's no Veil of Summer in the deck, which is normal and Jund, right? OP says, holy! Alright, so they got the 4th land, and they're seeing 2 fresh ones. Let's hope there's some duds. Well, not really, because it's a 2nd Raging Ravine. And a Dark Confidant. We can Edict the Bob, then we're losing Lily on the Crackback. It's actually probably fine to lose the Lily on the Crackback, honestly. Given our hand relative to theirs, so I'm not going to push the Bob. I'm going to untap and plan to Edict with Lily. I probably have to end up pushing a Ravine. It's not great. I was really hoping to draw a 4th land so I could do both. But let's Edict. Let's hope OP feels priced into, frankly, attacking the Liliana, rather than our life total at this stage. Pretty scary place to be in. Double Raging Ravine, real tough. Okay. Send it at Lily, you know you want to. Indeed they do. And maybe that's correct with whatever the last card in their hand is, but ultimately that's kind of what I feel I wanted there. I'd definitely take a 4th land. And we have one with Urborg. Nice, so now we get to play Souls, hold up push, hold up cling. Now we are talking. Alright, is OP a bit flooded, or are we going to see... We could see a discard spell here. We see a Nihil Spellbomb. That's a good time for one to take care of the back half of Souls, for sure. However, it will give us a turn off of the Ravine attacks, and therefore the luxury to cling on our own, so ultimately, I guess we'll take it. Get another Spellbomb, sure. Let's go for a cling. Might as well cling a land. Doesn't really matter, though. You know, technically maybe we should cling an instant to shrink a potential Goyf, but again, these things won't matter much. We've drawn Skyclave Apparition, a good one to have in the back pocket, and another Lingering Souls, which admittedly is just not great because they've been chaining spellbombs together, otherwise I'd be pretty happy. There's still honestly some scope to cast the front half simply because otherwise we're a bit time-walked. I really just wanted to land to get that Batterskull down, right? Yeah, I don't feel I can afford the tempo loss, so here you go, OP. You can eat our back half of the souls again. Feels bad. But this is strangely significant, I think, the tempo here. It's what I feel. Like, winning a race against Raging Ravines and against Jund top decks has something to do here with tempo. It's not the whole thing. Obviously, the back half of Souls is good, too. But that's where my head's at. I think maybe OP should have cracked Spellbomb first before deciding whether or not to shock or not, because now they cannot also crack Peatland. They could have just seen a ton of new cards if they had reversed their sequencing just a tad. And now they're cracking Peatland on the main phase, so maybe a little less mana to work with. There's a Goyf. And a Cliffs. I don't think I'm supposed to push here because we can beat that with Apparition, whereas we might need push for Raging Ravine. We cannot beat Ravine with Apparition. So we could get punished if we draw a land for Batterskull. We're also punished for drawing Elspeth Sun's Nemesis, who would be great to resolve right now. I guess this is a pretty good problem to have overall, right? The Air Force coming in hot. Okay, so no bad plays, really. I get the sense OP might have like a push or a bolt. We get a little punished by a bolt. I don't know if we even really do. We get punished by bolt either way. I'm going to play the Planeswalker. Make 2 soldiers. Got him on a 2-turn clock. Lingering Souls has been incredible. Incredible. The hidden tech says... Hidden tech says OP. Absolutely. Referring to Elspeth. So this has been a mixed bag of a league, but good games. A pleasure to play against you. You too, my friend. Great games. Well played. Good luck in the rest. Mutual well wishes exchanged yet again. The classiest opponent, David R123. Thank you again for the games, for the kind words about the channel. Well, we're on the play again, and we have another hand that doesn't do anything till T3. It didn't work out for us last round. Once again, I think I'm supposed to keep it, though, in this iteration of Modern. We are going to get punished for mulling aggressively against a lot of decks. If I was on the draw, I'd mulligan hands like this. On the play, I think I'm supposed to keep. This hand just plays the mid-range value game that we signed up for, and it does it pretty well. And if we're against something very linear that has a quick start, then so be it. But if we're against anything fair, we'll be happy we kept. Those are broad statements, right? But in general, they are true. Oh, man. Good luck. Have fun to you too, OP. That Titan loss was a mega tilt. Okay, we're against hers is mine. Okay, well, we've got the flagstones rolled up. We've just got to draw a Smallpox. Oh, I guess we need a black land more than anything else, right? We're against Bluetron, intriguing. Okay. So our play might get remanded or otherwise countered here. We can fix our mana, of course, with these double flagstones, which is part of the appeal here, and I guess we kind of have to. We don't strictly have to, but we should. So let's play out of Souls. If it's a hard counter, that's fine. If it's a remand, that'll be a bit annoying. Either way, we're setting up for a Lily or an Elspeth next turn. That's the remand. Okay. Okay. OP dropping a Mana Rock, still holding up another piece of permission, most likely. Smallpox. Well, it's a little awkward because no matter what we do, we're not double spelling. I think we have to go for it, though. I think the upside is too high not to go for it. There's the remand. Yeah, our lack of Urborg here really killing us, or even of, you know, a significantly blacker land base. Yeah, when you get getting tempoed out by remand, it's kind of a bad spot no matter who you are. But that was a particularly bad tempoing out by remand. Oh, OP just making all the island land drops. Yeah, I guess we just have to go for another Smallpox, don't we? Just to have more mana to beat like Mana Leak or something, I think we play this third Flagstones first. And we're getting black mana by hook or by crook, right? It's just all a little bit slow, but they know about the Smallpox. Let's just go for it. As I say, we can pay for Mana Leak, and even if this gets hard countered, at least we can double spell with the Lingering Souls. Alright, we have resolved a spell. We have resolved a spell. Yeah, I think like our value positive but clunky keep looking very bad against the remands, but they're going to be remanding our, you know, black-white mid-range deck anyway. Mulling would have been pretty bad here too, unless we mull to like a real nutty 6, maybe with turn 2 Flagstones plus Smallpox, you know? But here probably comes the pain. Blue Tron is just thrilled to have been able to remand so very many times. Now they get to drop a Karn with a little, maybe another remand to protect. Who knows? Who knows? Be interested to see what they tutor here. It's a Liquimetal Coating. I mean, we could push in a response, but is that even good? I don't know. Because I'm thinking we're probably supposed to Smallpox. But if we actually just don't Smallpox, we can push the Snapcaster, play an Elspeth, and make our spirits big enough to kill Karn. So I think that's what I'm doing. We draw a Heath. I think we're still supposed to go on that same plan. against Karn and one against the OP. So it's not bad. The big problem is they're a Tron deck. They still got a pretty full grip. They've made all their land drops. They even have a liquid metal coating in case they just have a backup Karn. But I do believe that was the best play. Alright, they could be flooded and or sitting on permission. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Or they could be 1 mana away from an Ugin. You never know. You do never know. Thoughtseize is a great way, though, to find out. I think we must begin there to maximally inform our decision. We can still Smallpox and Lily. We can go on the heavy depletion plan. Turn 7, often a little too slow to start depleting, but it's going to be probably a good turn regardless. Oh, Cyclonic Rift, completely disgusting. Alright. That is insane, but sure. Again, we still get to go Lily Smallpox after this. Hopefully it will be enough. Okay, we'll take the Fact or Fiction. We'll filter into double black. Smallpox away one of our lilies. Play the other, tick up, get the Elspeth in the graveyard to be escaped. It's not perfect. The Rift was really rough because it just sets us that much further back on the board, leaving us that much more vulnerable to their top decks. But Thoughtseize at least forcing some good action, right? So opponent will pitch the Condescend, just valuing land drops, basically. In the face of Lily, I think that makes an amount of sense. If we top deck a banger, they could get punished for that. That we want a main phase before activating Lily. But if we don't, it will. If we just draw like another land, it will almost be fine, you know, depending on their top deck, of course. But then we can just play a land, take Lily up. Oh my goodness, they top deck a tutor effect. After our extreme depletion turn, they will top deck a tutor effect. You hate to see that. Alright, we top deck SFM, huh? That's pretty good. Probably supposed to go for that and just go get Fire and Ice for a quick clock and some protection. Put Lily up to 5. Alright, you know, the good news for us, my friends, is it is Blue Tron. They do have a lot of bad or underpowered top decks compared to E-Tron or G-Tron, including just more permission. Their permission, as you saw, was really good in the first few turns, but they can pay the price for that in these situations by top decking more of it when it's bad. They'll top deck Expedition Map. I suspect they have a Blast Zone to get, or at least some other utility land that's relevant. It'd actually be a little scary if they had like a Scavenger Grounds, getting rid of our, I thought, pretty safe value of like Elspeth and Souls in the Bin would hurt as well. Either way, I hope we get to at least connect with Fire and Ice once. Blast Zone it is. Yep, that's a doozy. Blast Zone on 3 is going to be a beating here. But as I say, we will connect. I guess it gives us the luxury of not having to tick up Lily if we draw a reactive card, and that's exactly what happened, so, fair enough, upside, I guess, but really just not that exciting anyway. She's 6 to escape, yeah, so we're just gonna get the souls down here as well. Ooh, no, I should have attacked first to see what the draw was before I played the souls. We will probably play them, but should have at least seen. Another Lily. Yeah, we wouldn't play her anyway, of course, and yeah, let's just leave this Lily at 5. Re-equipping the sword in the second main doesn't make sense in the face of Blast Zone on 3. Also, of course, we are holding up Fatal Push. In the beginning of their own combat step, they're going to main phase it. Sure. Looks like they thought about maybe skipping the turn and doing it on our turn or something. We draw Skyclave Apparition. Not the best at the moment. Not the best, but we could get rewarded for leading on Lily, and then follow up with Apparition if she gets countered just for another body, and to take away whatever it would be. I think we are supposed to try to get another Lily down. It's just too bad, probably to get Elspeth remanded or something, if they have permission. But maybe we should figure out the clock. So let's say we Elspeth, and she resolves, and we -1. We are putting them dead, basically, next turn. Alright, you know what? Changing my mind. Let's go for the escape here. Don't think it matters much what we exile. Oh, come on. They got some... Please don't be exactly remand. That'd be so tilting. If it's a hard counter, whatever, that's value positive for us. Nope, then it is a hard counter. So fair enough. It's still kind of rough. Still kind of rough, but... They do scry something to the top. I wonder what it is. A Snapcaster Mage. For a fact or fiction. That is nasty. That is some nasty stuff. All right. Thirst for Knowledge almost wants to be on its own here. I don't think we care much about anything else. The Expedition map is definitely good, I assume, but... So my first instinct was maybe map +2 and Thirst +1, but I think I'm actually just going to put Thirst all on its own. If they have something, again, really good to tutor with Expedition map, then we could get punished for that. But no, they just take the Thirst, so the play is rewarded. Kaya's Guile, huh? So many different options here. Think maybe we're just supposed to get Elspeth down. Man, this is tough. If we had one more land, we could do so much more. We can do a fully maxed out Kaya's Guile as well. I think I'm just going for the Elspeth, but a big part of me wants to have Lily +1 be involved. Because Lily +1 would have made this Thirst a lot more awkward in terms of how exactly to resolve it, but this is the proactive thing to do. We're really making them have it this way. I guess we don't mind the Stoneforge Mystic trading with Snapcaster, right? Clear a blocker, put them to 2. Don't clear the blocker, put them to 1. Both seem good to me in this situation. So let's see if they have come up with anything they can really use. Or does Elspeth, Sun's Nemesis, get us over the line here? Karn the Great Creator. If this is just going to be like an dump the hand play Ensnaring Bridge, Skyclave Apparition will beat that. It's a Walking Ballista. Yikes. But because we have Fatal Push, I guess I guess they're just dead, right? To the Shambling Vent, unless are they going to activate Liquid Metal Coating on the upkeep or something? They will. All right, well, in response, we'll push. Okay, I'm still thinking we're pretty likely to get there, but you do never know. Opponents definitely bought a little time. Inquisition. Alright, I'm just going to play Lily, take up, pitch the Inquisition, hang on to the Guile and the Apparition, make a couple of guys with Elspeth here. There is a Wormcoil Engine in their hand. Well then. Well, well, well. Alright, so what else can Karn get? Hopefully now it will be Ensnaring Bridge to stay alive. We'll find out. I don't think them tutor... Yeah, it is. Okay, I was going to say, they probably have like another Wormcoil to tutor. I don't think that necessarily makes sense. But it could have been an option as well. There's the bridge, and then they'll play out whatever their last card is, so our soldiers cannot attack, and it's an expedition map. Interesting. Do another tower. Got it. All right. Very, very tough game one, but we do get there. Once OP passes the turn anyway. Guess they're going for, I don't know if they'd go for the upkeep coding again. Maybe that's what they've been thinking about. Okay. Sure. I guess that makes sense because they're just have to assume they're staying alive here, but sadly for them they are not. Skyclave Apparition OP, right? There it is, there it is, there it is. Alright, well, Fulminator also seems great here. I'm liking Ashiok at least enough to play one, possibly both. Nihil Spellbomb holds some interest to me as well. We saw Snapcaster Mage there, right? Collective Brutality, at least 2. Revoke Existence, yes. A lot to do. I'm going to cut all the pushes, even though they have targets, for now. I don't see anything else that looks bad to me. But we have a lot of cuts to make, so very interesting proposition here. Let's consider on the draw what exactly that means for us. I think we're going to play with only one Ashiok. Yeah, there's like nothing else I actually want to cut. We might actually kind of have to cut like Batterskull here, and maybe a Stoneforge Mystic as well. Trim a Lingering Souls, these cards are all fine here, but I hope you understand why we're doing so. I still have a cut to make. As crazy as it might seem, I think I might actually cut a Smallpox here on the draw, too. A little less oppressive on the draw. They might not often have a creature for us, and yeah, I mean, we can't... You can't really go wrong with any of the trims that we've made, because, again, everything is so good. Should we maybe we don't value Kaya's Guile as highly here. I think it's a decent card, but yeah, let's bring back either the Smallpox or a Souls. Well, we'll just play with the Smallpox, all right? Well, this is a game one hand, but I'm going to keep it. Inquisition into Stoneforge into Lingering Souls into Elspeth is a really good value curve. And as we saw, game one was almost completely a value game. We didn't need desperately to dig at all cost to a Smallpox to stop the, stop what's going on. Nope. So with no Smallpox or Flagstones in sight, I'm not going to play Urborg. That could make their stuff a little bit better. Not yet, anyway. I'll, of course, play it at some point. But Inquisition, we see Repeal and Snapcaster Mage. And 2 islands plus a good top end of Factor Fiction and Karn the Great Creator. I don't think I care that much about the repeal. Like, if they want to repeal our Stoneforge Mystic, then that's letting us just accrue value, right? So we take Snap playing for the longer game. I mean, they can repeal a Lingering Souls token for an efficient cantrip, and that's definitely a thing. But we have drawn Flagstones, so that I will play out, just in case we see Smallpox off the top. Both Feast and Famine and Fire and Ice are good here. I'll get Fire and Ice. As time goes on, I'm thinking more and more I should maybe have just taken the repeal. Silent Clearing. Alright, I think I kind of want to time walk them now, not play the Lingering Souls, because I don't want to give them the repeal target. We're just going to flash in a sword and basically, I think, price them into playing Karn. I wish we had a Shambling Vent. But it's risky for them to play Karn rather than hold up Fact or Fiction or do something else, because we could be flashing in a Batterskull too. And that's why even that I didn't clearly want to side out. But as we saw, we had a lot of cuts to make. Another clearing. Bra moment. So do we play the long game by forcing the repeal, then simply redeploying Stoneforge Mystic after they repeal her, getting another 2-for-1? Or do we just jam Elspeth and force them to beat her? I think I'm just jamming Elspeth, but this has been a weird game. Again, I do maybe wish at this point I'd taken the repeal, but I'd be snapping it back soon enough, right? So I don't know. Difficult to say, right? Difficult to say. It's maybe kind of a tough hand to tangle with without us having hard hate and being on the draw. There's that power plant they tutored. So at any point they can shut off our sword activation with Karn. But we obviously have the ability to kill Karn pretty easily now that we've stuck in Elspeth. So opponent definitely in a spot here. But they have 3 unknowns, and the 2 cards that we know about are both very powerful. We also haven't disrupted their mana whatsoever, but it is sure enough going to be Karn. Can they get anything relevant to play this turn, or is this just accepting Karn's fate, getting a 2-for-1? Trying to take it from there, forcing us maybe to go a little less wide with Elspeth. Yeah, I guess that's the play. And another map? Whoa! Okay, OP's really doing it. Alright, what can we find off the top here? The 3rd silent clearing in a row. Man, oh man, oh man. Well, that is unfortunate. That is most unfortunate. Oh, geez, no, did I click the wrong way? Oh, oops. Sorry, I was just thinking about the rest of the turn. I obviously tried to attack the opponent, too. I suspect it won't matter, but that's obviously pretty annoying. So, I think I'm supposed to, rather than equip... Well, we could equip Sword of Fire and Ice in case they have a backup Karn. But a higher upside line is to crack clearing, looking for a Fulminator Mage to stop us from getting Tron next turn, and also stop the Worm Coil from coming down. We can still either equip or play Lingering Souls after. I think I'm going to go for the high upside here. It's another land. Man, oh man. Okay, well. Let's suit up this Stoneforge Mystic, I guess. Yeah, this is a bad one. For us, opponent's curve out is, I think, very, very solid. Not unbeatable, but very, very solid. And we also had a solid opener, and we have simply just drawn almost only lands from the starting point, right? And with opponent being a bit ahead of us, being on the play, you see how it goes. Now, that said, we do still have a resolved and equipped Fire and Ice. So if we can come up with something to beat the Worm Coil right here and now, things could get pretty cool for us. Instead, we can come up with an Inquisition of Kozilek. I probably played this wrong. I should have played Lingering Souls last turn, force them to have another way to punish us for that, because then we could at least be attacking over the Worm Coil engine. I'm still going to Inquisition here, I guess. But how poorly timed is that? Oh my god, and it whiffs, and they have a bunch of backup Tron lands in hand. Yep, I'm blaming myself here for not playing the Souls last turn, I guess. Would love to just be drawing a card right now. It's going to be tough to beat this Tron deck on top decks, though, when they have a Factor Fiction to accrue so much advantage in selection. I think we just flooded a little bit too hard. 4 Smallpox, 4 Fulminator, a couple Ashiok's, or at least one. None of that anywhere in sight. Of course, now we don't really want that stuff, necessarily. It'd be a bit too late. We could still break up Tron by Fulminatoring Tower, but, you know, Smallpox. Oh, man. There's a Karn, too. The rips are unreal sometimes, but... Man, the clock's really low. I've been just playing unnecessarily slow. I feel almost like I'm still in that second match just because the second match sadly went by so quickly. Alright, OP just taking care of the Souls main phase. Got it. Not attacking with Worm Coil. Okay. Literal all lands, only lands, all the time. All lands, all the time. Brah. Well, we need to dig for something. I realize we have other plays if we, escape Elspeth or whatever, but we need to dig for something. Fulminator Mage. Alright, I'm gonna play that. Take them off of Tron to make the Walking Ballista less oppressive, but it is probably just about all over for us. At this point, we're just kind of extending the clock, right, to our advantage. Crucible of Worlds, okay, good to know about. More incentive for Ashiok and Spellbomb. Needless to say, that's incredibly good against us. We're just in run out the clock mode, so Psionic Jump Block here. I have no words for all these lands, my friends. I really don't. Just going to begin with an attack trying to kill Karn here. So opponent can just block with Ballista. Ping, 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 sack, right? At least we'll be dealing with the Ballista that way. And while we could once again have cracked clearing to mitigate this Unholy Flood and try to find a way to maybe deal with Ballista main phase, I am now... Oh, I didn't realize they could put 2 counters on, I'm not gonna lie. Wasn't looking closely at their lands. I saw, like, a land or 2 untapped. Yeah, well, there you have it. Do we still want to play Elspeth? Sure, I mean, it's, again, we're just kind of running out the clock here, aren't we? Don't think it matters much we lose to the Ballista. Notably, Factor Fiction still in OP's hand, so we're getting completely styled on and completely crushed, but Walking Ballista just solos the game so hard that they don't even need to do anything else, nor should they, in the interest of time, or indeed in the interest of efficiency. Like, when I always feel as the person on the receiving end of Ballista in these situations, it makes the most sense for them to get the most mileage out of their Ballista. You can't really get punished too hard for that, because worst case scenario, they answer it, they get like a massive ping, right? Whether this opponent can kill us in under 5 minutes in a post-side game 3 is unclear. But they're going to kill us next turn. It's pretty funny just how many lands we're drawing. Like, you couldn't make it up. Draw another card, try to find an answer to Ballista to stay alive. Okay, or force the Ballista to ping, sure. I'm just going to make all the tokens in the world. Probably a pretty painful one to watch, my friend. Sorry about this. But maybe we'll take him under 4 minutes before this one ends. And we'll be in pole position to win G3. One way or another. I think we'd be favored on the play anyway. Academy Ruins. Oh, even better. They can loop Ballista, loop other things. But at what cost? At the cost of precious seconds. Yep, we're just racking up the seconds. What more can I say? Block with a ground troop. Come on now. Wonder if there is a line to ping and then attack with both and then ping after or whatever. The game goes on is good for us. Collective Brutality, can that keep us in the game? Is that life gain relevant? No. No, it is not. I am sorry to report. Lily of the Veil. Okay. A little more info here. Mindslaver. Now it is up to the OP to execute this kill. Guess they're just going to stack all the counters on Ballista and go straight for the ping. So Collective Brutality buying us actually a couple more seconds, right? Okay, well, we're putting in our hours. We got our hours on the clock, right? If nothing else, we've earned the win that way, I guess. Five. 4. It's like the ball dropping on New Year's Eve. 3, 2, 1, and GG, well played. Hey, you know, you hate to run out the clock sometimes, but if it's not like they're showing us a loop that they just can't execute on MTGO, with their deck as a whole, that is. So, yeah. Given what we've seen, again, we have so many other things we could play on the play. And at the same time, it's probably about right to be set up like this. Or just playing not to lose, so we could, in theory, get a little more defensive with like a single Fatal Push, for example. But I think this is where we'd like to be. I'm just going to run it back. I'll keep this hand. Doesn't seem like it's going to lose, you know, in short order, right? We have enough interaction. It's kind of like our game 1 hand that got remanded out of the game, but only they don't have the time to remand us out of the game. Inquisition seems fine here. Repeal and another Expedition map. Just going to take the map. We draw Fulminator Mage. Let's go. That is some hype. We'll see what they tutor first, which is just going to be the tower. And we'll hit that ugly old power plant. Now we get to play Liliana. Gonna ditch Urborg, play Clearing. So irrespective of the clock, our position is pretty great. Obviously, they can just rip a missing Tron land at any point, but... Alright. I mean, we know Inquisition's gonna hit, so I'm gonna lead there. It could also draw out Remand or something. Extends the game if nothing else, but we know it can hit Repeal. Okay. Cyclonic Rift. Just gonna get the Lily back down. Don't think it matters much what we pitch there. They're gonna get their Emrakul in the yard, which is a very interesting one, by the way. So they can play Karn this turn. Boro's strangely good against Liliana too, right? But again, are you killing us in under 50 seconds with your first permanent hitting the field being Karn the Great Creator? And also ticking up? That seems unlikely, right? Opponent just sticking it out, though. Very intriguing stuff. It's a pretty nice display from our deck, you know, no matter how, again, irrespective of the clock here in the second game, or in the third game, rather. Nice display. Okay, no Lily activation for us. Got it. Thoughtseize, though, not very live. So we are we attacking Karn? Sure, I'll attack Karn. We've got the Kaya ult coming next turn, folks. Ulting for 1. If only Emrakul exiled rather than shuffled it back in, then we'd be talking. Karn animating the Talisman of Dominance. Going for the kill. The 10-turn clock begins with about 1 second left on the clock. Well, there you go, my friends. There was some Poxblade action for you. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you, too, enjoyed it, Rocco, especially. And sorry for any choppy editing. I haven't had a chance to go fully over this, and I did kind of have to Frankenstein this footage together. There was the need to insert the replay to finish out the E-Tron matchup, and also the fact that I closed out the league that I stopped recording. I had to stop recording due to the lag issues with a couple of non-games means that I, as I said at the beginning, actually played 2 leagues with this deck, right? So most of what you didn't see were non-games, but I'll tell you all about them for the sake of a full picture on how this deck performed. I was going to say 4-1 and 2-3 in my 2 leagues, but it might have actually been 2-3-2s, I don't remember. Either way, we're 6-4 overall, not bad for a relative non-meta deck, and my overall takeaway is the deck has a lot to like, but we're just about 1 printing away. Something that would be like a Wrenn and 6 style effect, right? To really go over the top in terms of being that powerful, something near the power level of Wrenn and 6, and also specifically rewarding us for this plan. And you could play Jundpox with Wrenn, but that's a totally different ballgame. I'm talking about something in these colors specifically alongside the synergies like Lingering Souls and Flagstones, a Wrenn and 6 style card. It could do something totally different, but you understand the point. So ultimately, I think we're in Tier 2 territory, but this actually felt great in a lot of matches. In the ones that I dropped, I felt we were unlucky more than anything else, but there are definitely, some moments where you can tell that what you're doing is not perfect, right? And a lot of the top decks will get you. So in terms of what you didn't see, I had a loss against Heliod for sure. That seems like a really tough matchup. Didn't draw Deicide. Sometimes Smallpox can line up relatively well against Utopia Sprawl or Arbor Elf, but either way, they just never, ever, ever stop gassing out, do they? We also had an unfortunate loss against Infect. It was over in like 2 minutes. That should be really tough to lose, but they were just absolutely nut drawing us to apocalyptic proportions. And I think we dropped a match against Titan as well, if I'm not mistaken, and that I think is very, very winnable. We saw some great success against big mana decks in the matches you just saw, and I think I won another one off camera. I think I beat Green Tron off camera, maybe. I think I beat another Tron deck anyway with this deck, so we're definitely styling pretty hard on big mana, but I think I kept like a safe value hand game. One against the Titan deck, got run over, and then couldn't win both post-side games. I think I lost the G3 on the draw, if I recall correctly, but mostly non-games, win or lose, that we were not seeing, so the fact that I did need to kind of Frankenstein this league together ended up working out, I think, better for the sake of content, although I don't want to have to do that due to lag issues, right? So again, the new PC gonna help us out there immensely, but back to the footage that you just saw, well, I think we were actually doing a lot of what the deck wants to do when we did take down E-Tron and U-Tron. If your Smallpox deck does not line up well against those decks, you got a problem structurally, and overall I think that we do. Now, it's not perfect, because sometimes they'll just still have it, and our clock is a little bit dirtily to be, like, optimized 80-20 against big mana, but I think we're solid favorites. I think we showed that here. The 2 mid-range matches that you saw were kind of a tale of how it can go. We absolutely curved out amazingly against the Jund player, who had a lot of stumbles, a lot of bad luck, and we had some right stuff at the right time happen for us in both games for sure. And against the Mardu Pyromancer featuring Lurrus deck, the opposite was kind of true. I think Jund is a more powerful deck than that Mardu deck, but the opposite kind of happened. We had the stumbling, they didn't, and they also had that built-in redundancy of the 8th card, really making it so after we had stumbled, there was no bad outcome for them. They either keep drawing gas, or they draw enough lands to get Lurrus into hand and they keep gassing out that way. That makes the the stumbling that we encountered that much more punishing. Probably the most thrilling, frankly, of this very long league was the first one. Izzet Prowess match going right about 40 minutes, definitely very intense. Balanced on a knife's edge, came right down to it. And we have a lot of things working against us and a lot of things working for us. I think we saw the full spectrum of the Poxblade experience basically in that round 1. So that's my review. Those are my thoughts. Any other thoughts you have, of course, you can share them below. But thank you once again to Rocco, and thank you out there for watching. I think this was a pretty successful experiment overall in that our results were okay, and we saw a lot of the cards that we really wanted to see that make this archetype unique, and ultimately they performed admirably, and with a little bit better luck, who knows what could have happened. But in the meantime, I do think, as I said, we're probably about one printing away from greatness with this type of list, and I do have to rein in expectations. They don't really print land destruction like they used to, especially of the hard variety that would really go well with Smallpox. So once again, we're thinking, gotta come up with something along the power level of like low curve, flexible, high ceiling card like Wrenn and 6, and one that specifically synergizes with the strategy. Maybe we'll get that one day, who knows, but until then, this was our debut with Orzhov Poxblade. Hope you liked it, and we've got Boomer Rock and Abzan Squirrelblade coming up next, so please do hit subscribe, give me a thumbs up, and leave a comment below if you're so inclined. Thanks for watching, see you next time.